Hello, and welcome back to the Tangible Wellness Podcast, the podcast where I meet you exactly where you are. And today's episode is a part 2 series of the episode that I just released a couple weeks ago about the slow burn. And today is really going to be about how movement and nervous system regulation can rebuild your cellular energy. And no, it's not going to be a biology lesson. It's going to be more or less a performance conversation. And let me ask you something. I think that all of us have been there. Mid-afternoon, you start to yawn and feel the crash coming on. You start wondering why and think maybe I should just get a cup of coffee or a snack. And what most people don't realize is this is your body's way of telling you that you need rest. But we can't rest because we have so many things that we need to get done in one day. And those things matter. But what I want to talk about today goes one level deeper because the fatigue you feel in the afternoon, the brain fog, that flat energy, the sense that you're hitting a ceiling, that has a cellular explanation. And once you understand it, you have actual tools to fix it. And so today we're going to be talking about mitochondria. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around to find out why. Mitochondria are your cellular power plants. And this is why they matter at work. You've heard it since you were in middle school science. Mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell. That's technically accurate, but it's massively undersells what's actually going on. Here's the real picture. Every single function your body and brain perform, thinking, deciding, regulating emotion, managing a high-pressure conversation, running a meeting, all require energy. And that energy has currency, and it's called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. And your mitochondria are the factories that actually produce it. A 2025 study found that the human brain accounts for 20 to 24% of the body's entire energy consumption. Despite making up only 2% of body mass, mitochondrial energy transformation capacity directly influences brain activation across cognitive, sensory, and emotional tasks. When mitochondrial function is impaired, the brain is the first organ to feel it. So think about what that means for people who are high performers or are working in a corporate environment. Your brain is the primary tool of your job. It's running complex decisions, managing relationships, processing information under pressure, all day long. And it's doing all of that on ATP, on mitochondrial output. Now here's where it gets important. Mitochondria are not static. They are not a fixed resource you're born with. They are dynamic, adaptable organelles. They grow in number and efficiency in response to the right signals, and they degrade over time. And as they degrade, they produce less ATP, generate more cellular damage in response to the wrong ones. Now, research has been showing that a 2025 annual review described mitochondria as having remarkable plasticity, the ability to sense, respond, and adapt to various stressors. Research from the same period confirmed that the ability to adapt mitochondria through training is maintained throughout life. So if you can build mitochondria, then it will help train them to be resilient under stress and throughout life, regardless of age, sex, or health status, meaning you're never too far gone to rebuild. So the question isn't whether you have mitochondria, it's whether the ones that you do have are functioning at their capacity. And for most desk workers carrying low-grade chronic stress, the answer, based on research, is no. And let me explain why. So this is called the cortisol mitochondrial connection. And if you listened to my last podcast, The Slow Burn, you heard me talk about microstress, the low-grade ambient pressure of corporate life that keeps your cortisol subtly elevated even when nothing dramatic is happening. And today I want to show you the downstream effect of that because it turns out the same cortisol that's promoting fat storage around your midsection is also quietly degrading your cellular energy system. Another research study published in 2026 found that prolonged sympathetic nervous system activation and elevated cortisol levels increase oxidative stress, a process that directly damages mitochondrial membranes, impairs ATP production. A separate 2025 Springer Nature review found that chronic stress disrupts mitophagy. This is your cellular housekeeping process for removing damaged mitochondria, leading to an accumulation of dysfunctional energy-producing units, meaning oxidative stress. Here's the mechanism. When you're under stress, even low-grade, ongoing stress, your sympathetic nervous system stays activated. That's your fight or flight system. It floods your body with cortisol and catecholamines like epinephrine. In short bursts, that's adaptive. That's the system working. But chronically, those same stress hormones increase something called reactive oxygen species, free radicals, and these attack the membranes of your mitochondria. And damaged mitochondria membranes mean reduced electron transport chain function, meaning less ATP and less usable energy. And here's the part that most people never hear. Damaged mitochondria produce even more reactive oxygen species, which causes more mitochondrial damage, which causes more free radicals. This is a self-reinforcing cycle. Stress degrades your energy system, and a degraded energy system makes you less resilient to stress, which causes degradation, which is why your energy will slowly degrade over time. And a review published in the Frontiers in Molecular Biosciences in 2024 identified bioenergetic abnormalities, impaired mitochondrial ATP production as a common feature across major depressive disorder, anxiety, brain fog, and fatigue. Researchers noted that symptoms like mental exhaustion, emotional dysregulation, and cognitive fog mirror the clinical presentation of mitochondrial dysfunction. These aren't personality traits, yet they are cellular symptoms. So when you're dealing with things like depression and anxiety, brain fog, and fatigue, this is a clear indication that your mitochondria are not functioning like they should be. And this is why I push back on the idea that afternoon fatigue is just about willpower or discipline. For the people who are under constant pressure, the cost of chronic sympathetic activation is real, measurable, and cellular. And you cannot hustle your way out of mitochondrial dysfunction, but you can build your way out. And this is what brings me to the most important part of our conversation today. And all of them are accessible for you at work. Number one is movement. This is the most powerful mitochondrial signal you have. Exercise is the single most studied stimulus for mitochondrial biogenesis, which is your body's process of building new healthy mitochondria, not just maintaining them, but growing them. Mitochondrial content in skeletal muscle, and that this adaptive capacity is maintained throughout life, regardless of sex, existing health conditions. A sympathetic review in the same year found that exercise promotes mitochondrial biogenesis, enhances oxidative phosphorylation, the actual ATP making process, and reduces reactive oxygen species, improving both energy production and cellular resilience. So by you exercising more, the more cellular resilience and energy you're going to develop. Now I know what some of you are probably thinking. I don't have time to work out during the day, and I hear you. But here's what the research actually shows. You don't need a 45-minute gym session to get mitochondrial signal. What you need is movement, and specificity matters. So zone 2 cardio, which is moderate intensity at a conversational pace. It feels slightly challenged, is particularly effective for mitochondrial development. This is a brisk walk or a moderate bike ride. 20 minutes 3 to 4 times per week has been shown to produce meaningful mitochondrial adaptations. So just going out for a brisk walk on your lunch break or after dinner can be a great way to actually enhance digestion, metabolism, and mitochondrial production. And for those of you who cannot get movement in during the workday, 5-minute walks between your meetings, those count. So getting up every couple of hours to move, stretch, or do some form of activity will actually help you produce mitochondria as well. Walking after lunch actually blunts the post-meal glucose spike that contributes to afternoon energy crashes. These micro movements are not a compromise, they are a strategy. So if chronic sympathetic activation is degrading your mitochondria, then deliberately activating the parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest mode, is the antidote. And it works faster than most people expect. Research published in the Nature Single Transduction and Targeted Therapy in 2025 confirmed that parasympathetic nervous system activation through the hypothalamus and vagus nerve directly supports metabolic regulation, insulin sensitivity, and energy homeostasis. A 2025 PMC review on vagus nerve function found that individuals with higher vagal tone measured by heart rate variability showed stronger prefrontal recruitment during cognitive tasks, faster recovery from stress, and sharper executive function under pressure. So the more that you can activate your parasympathetic nervous system through breath, you are going to build more mitochondrial resilience. And so let's talk about what some of these different elements are. Number one, heart rate variability. HRV is the metric that tracks this and measures the variability between your heartbeats, which reflects how well your nervous system can shift between sympathetic and parasympathetic states. Higher HRV means more flexibility, more resilience, more recovery capacity between stressors. And for you, this means that your capacity to have more energy in the evenings after a hard charging day at the office goes up drastically without it following 3 or 4 days of PTO. Practices that improve vagal tone and therefore support mitochondrial recovery include deliberate recovery breaks, cold exposure, and controlled breath work. How do we incorporate some of these? Taking 2 or 3 breaks throughout your day, whether they're 4, 5, or 9 minutes. Taking those breaks can be a great way for you to be able to disconnect from your work and reconnect with yourself. During that time, splashing cold water on your face, or if you have access to a cold plunge a couple times a week, can be a great way to regulate your nervous system. And then, of course, controlled breath work, which leads me to lever number 3. This is the fastest tool for your nervous system to shift. Breath is the only autonomic function you can consciously control. That makes it the most immediately accessible lever for shifting out of a sympathetic dominance. A landmark of 2023 of clinical trial published in Cell Reports Medicine found that just 5 minutes of cyclic sighing, so pretty much just sighing, a double inhale through the nose followed by a long extended exhale through the mouth was more effective at reducing physiological arousal and improving mood than mindfulness meditation. Separate research has shown that slowing breath to 5.5 to 6 breaths per minute activates the parasympathetic nervous system, releases acetylcholine, the body's calming neurotransmitter, and measurably improves HRV. A 2023 systematic review confirmed that diaphragmatic breathing directly influences heart rate variability and vagal tone. So a double inhale, long exhale. And if you do that for a minute, that should help reset your vagal tone and your nervous system. So you can do this for 1 minute or 5 minutes. Do this between meetings, at your desk, in your car, before you walk into the office. And that's not a meditation retreat, it's just a physiological tool. And when your nervous system downshifts and cortisol drops, your sympathetic activation reduces and your mitochondria get a break to rest from the oxidative stress that is damaging them. You're not just feeling calmer, you're creating the conditions your cells need to produce more energy efficiently. So tying all of this together, the energy crashes that you're feeling, the afternoon brain fog, the cognitive slowdown, the sense that you're running on fumes by 2 p.m. are not character flaws. They are cellular signals. They're your mitochondria telling you that the demands being placed on them have outpaced your recovery capacity. And the 3 things that rebuild that capacity are not complicated. Move your body with intention, even 20 minutes of moderate cardio several times a week. Create deliberate recovery windows during your day. Real breaks, not scrolling on your phone, and use your breath as a tool to actually calm yourself down. And just 5 minutes of controlled breathing between high demand tasks is a reset, not a luxury. These are wellness platitudes. They're biological levers with decades of research behind them. And you deserve to feel good at 3 p.m. That's not too much to ask. And now you know what to do about it. So this is series 1. What's causing the weight gain and how do we get our energy back so we can take better care of ourselves? And if you feel like this impacted you, please share this with somebody who you feel could benefit from this episode. And if you have insights or feedback about these episodes and something else that you'd like to learn, please let me know. Or if you'd like to be featured on this podcast and want to have a conversation around health, please send me a message. I hope all of you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next episode.